I've been thinking a lot about how I want 2026 to go for me. 2025 was such a hard year. I went through so much, but I also experienced a lot of growth. So now that I'm moving into 2026, my focus really is on how I can continue building and how I can move into the lifestyle that I'm trying to create. Stepping into this new year, I have all this renewed optimism, this fresh perspective on how I want the year to go. And while I have no idea what's going to happen, I actually feel like 2026 is going to be an amazing year. I'm a firm believer that you can change your life, and sometimes change happens fast, sometimes change happens slow, but it is possible to change your life and it is possible to change who you are as a person as well. I know that saying is that people can't change, but I disagree. Over the last 12 months, I have changed so much. I am no longer the same person. I experienced more growth last year than I think I ever have in my entire life. But I was forced to make those changes. And so going into 2026, I want to make intentional choices. I want to make those decisions to actually upgrade my life in a way that makes sense for what I actually want to do. So I'm choosing the path I want to take. So that's what I wanted to discuss today, how making those intentional choices, making those life upgrades, even if they're quiet, even if they're small, can really change your life quite dramatically if you let it. Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to Messy Classy. So, today, let's talk about making those really tiny decisions, those tiny choices that can upgrade your life and make it more elegant or chic or however it is that you want to live. So, grab a drink, fire up the jazz, and let's get into the episode. I'm sure things are not going to run smoothly in the beginning. This is messy, classy after all. There is always still going to be a little bit of messiness in our lives. No matter how hard I try to move towards classy, there is always going to be some messy. So I feel like just trying to do your best, just trying to be a better person, just trying to live more intentionally, that's got to count for something. So even though we're not perfect, we try. I wanted to talk about some of the upgrades that I've already made, and some of these aren't specifically about making your life more classy. It's just making your life a little bit more simpler and a little bit more authentic. Because I feel like an upgraded life is made through the small choices that you make. You can make big life decisions as well, but sometimes it really is the small decisions. It could be that you've decided to start to go to different places. This year, I'm trying to find a new place that I go to regularly. I used to have one back in 2024 that I used to go to regularly, but it was a bar. And then in 2025, when I stopped drinking, and there was a restaurant I did go to a few times, although it ended up being a place that I just took dates to go on. I took a few dates there. It became my go-to date place. So we're not going back there anymore. It could be just wearing your hair differently. It could be, I'm thinking of actually going darker. I've been blonde for so long, and I don't know, I feel like just going slightly darker might be in my future. We'll see. But mostly it's about breaking those default patterns, those default habits that keep you stuck in your current lifestyle because you can't move on if you're not changing those little habits. Because we get stuck in patterns so easily. I know that I do. That's why I want to start going to new places or finding a new place to go to that fits the vibe I'm looking for. It might be a bar, it might be a restaurant. I haven't quite decided yet. It needs to have good lighting because I'll be taking a book because I like to read when I go out. It needs to have a classy vibe. It needs to have slow music in the background that's not too loud so you can't think. Something jazzy or just something a little bit softer. Perfect. So I will keep you updated if I find that perfect place for 2026 for me. But just upgrading your home is enough sometimes. For example, this year I got a new coffee machine. Now you might be thinking a coffee machine isn't that exciting, but you don't understand the excitement I get making coffee in the mornings now. Now, let's go back a few years, and I had this capsule pod coffee machine, which I absolutely loved, just one from Nespresso, and I loved making the coffees. But then I got into a relationship and they wanted to upgrade the coffee to, so we got an espresso machine. Now I understand that espresso coffee is so much better than pod coffee, but I missed having the flavors and the ease of the pod coffee machine. So I've bought another capsule pod coffee machine. So each morning I'm now super excited. I don't have coffee grounds everywhere. It's so much easier to clean up and the machine is making really good coffee too. So I am loving it. And we know that this isn't just about the coffee machine, but it's about I had made that change based on somebody else's tastes and preferences and now I get to pull that back and choose my own tastes and preferences now. But the coffee is fantastic. I can have different flavors. It's easy to clean up. It's just upgraded my mornings so much. So sometimes your upgrades don't have to be a luxury flex. It just has to be something that makes your day a little bit more brighter and a little bit more exciting. Because that will signal to yourself that you're taking care of your own needs and your own wants and your own desires. So, yes, this is much more than about a coffee machine. It's about taking back that power, taking back the preferences that I want, which going back into 2026 is definitely the vibe. That's just a simple change that I made in the mornings, but I am making more bigger intentional changes as well. One of them is I've started ballet classes. In 2026, one of my goals is to get hotter. I had started walking around sunset, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, depending on what else I have going on for the day. But I wanted to put in another sort of exercise. So I decided ballet sounded great. I've never done ballet before, so I'm just doing online classes at the moment. Queensland Ballet has some classes, but I missed the January cutoffs, so I'll try and get in for the March cutoffs for the beginner classes, the beginner adult classes. But in the meantime, I'm just doing online classes and I am terrible at it. It's incredibly difficult, but I'm also having a lot of fun. This is going to be a great supplement. It's elegant, it's poised, it should help with posture, it should help with thigh and butt workout. At least that's what I'm hoping. And if I decide in 8 weeks, 3 months that I no longer want to do it, it's fine. But pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, doing something that you haven't done before, that you've always thought about, that's another way to quietly upgrade your life. So, yes, I'm choosing grace and discipline over ease because it is not easy. It is quite difficult, but I'm having fun. And I think that's the point sometimes. Sometimes we have to move through some discomfort before we can get to the life that we want, before we can get to whatever goal, whatever thing in the future that we want. But mostly, I've been cutting out a lot of things. I think refinement comes from subtracting from your life rather than accumulating and adding to your life. And this isn't just about things, although clutter is a big important part of it. I have got rid of a lot of clothes this year. I've been going through my wardrobe and just getting rid of anything that doesn't work. Same with makeup, same with hair products. I am intentionally not buying anything new until I use up something that I already have. I don't know how this happened, but I have multiples of shower gels. I have multiples of makeup. So this year, we're going to stop that overconsumption. I'm just not going to buy anything new until I use up what I already have. Or if it's something like clothes or something for the house, then if I bring one new thing in, I have to get rid of two things. I think that's going to help declutter a lot quicker and it's going to make me a lot more mindful about what I'm bringing in. But sometimes overconsumption isn't just about the things that you have, the things that you surround yourself with, but it's also people. Because when you think about upgrading your life, it's about less noise, it's about less chaotic energy. And sometimes there are people in your life that do bring that chaotic energy in. And I am choosing peace this year. So you really have to think about who belongs in your mental and emotional space. With a lot of my friendships, I haven't ghosted all of my friends, but I have pulled back my energy a lot in trying to make plans and trying to see them because there were often times when I would make plans, I wouldn't get that energy back. Sometimes they would come, sometimes they wouldn't. And that's not the energy that we're bringing into 2026. We're only bringing in reciprocal energy from people. That goes with friendships, with relationships. I am over trying to hold relationships together that are meant to break. New relationships can't come into your life anyway if your energy is already too cluttered with other people that don't belong there. And this is not about being mean or intentionally ignoring someone. This is just when you stop reaching out, they don't make the effort either, and it kind of fades away naturally. And I feel like sometimes that's the best thing that can happen. So let's talk about taste because I feel like taste is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I used to think that taste was something you either had or you didn't have. And while I don't think that's necessarily true, I think that you can grow to appreciate different styles, different art, different ways things look. And over time, you get a better eye for it. I think that can be taught and learned over time. I feel like taste really comes down to editing and choosing what goes into your space. All of us probably have a lot of different interests, a lot of different things that we like, but very often a lot of these things are from different periods, different styles. Maybe you like some mid-century furniture, but your artwork is more modern or maybe Victorian, who knows. Now, eclectic homes and eclectic fashion absolutely can work, but this is where editing comes in. Because while it starts with asking yourself whether you like the item, whether you like the clothing, whether you like the furniture piece that you're bringing into your home or the decor item, true taste comes when you start to edit and not just collect everything. All of the stylish homes, no matter what their style is, always look uncluttered. They always look intentionally put together. Usually there is one main focus piece, sometimes up to 3 focus pieces, but it's never really more than that. Because what you remove, what you intentionally show and what you don't show, that's where taste starts to come in. It's not about what style that interests you at all. It's what you choose to show, but more importantly, what you choose not to show. You can find out what style that you like. I like going onto Pinterest and just pinning things that I like, and then I start to see a pattern, and then I can start to narrow down the things that I find more appealing. Although there have been times where I've tried to recreate an outfit I've seen on Pinterest, and that doesn't work quite as well because copying them doesn't allow you to bring your own tastes and style into it anyway. We don't know how much editing or retouching that photograph or that clothing item has had within that photograph. So it's more about using somebody else's taste or aesthetic as inspiration rather than just copying. And that is where you start to build your own taste and your own discernment, because now you're starting to really think about the item. You're starting to work out how it's going to work with your other items of clothing, if it's an item of clothing, or within your home, how it's going to work with the other pieces. This is where taste starts to shine because you're not just copying anymore. You're curating and editing. Now, let's talk about routines because I feel like routines are one of the easiest ways to change your life. I love a good morning routine or a good evening routine. Mine is constantly changing. Sometimes I have really simple routines. I tend to find that when I have more complicated routines, I never stick to them. And this again comes down to you can't copy somebody else's routine, someone else's morning routine or evening routine. You can absolutely get inspiration, but when it comes down to it, you need to do what works for you. Your morning routine is a little like button TikTok. It only has to make sense to you. And that's what makes it upgraded and best for your lifestyle. So right now I'm in the middle of my selfish summer, my summer of self, because it's summer here in Australia. So I'm bringing all of the focus back to what I want to do, which is the reason I've pulled back from a lot of friendships. And not because I don't care about them or love them, but because I'm trying to replace those people pleasing tendencies, those tendencies I have that when I'm out with a group of friends, I'm always trying to make sure that everybody else is having a good time, everyone else is enjoying themselves. And I'm not even paying attention to really if I'm enjoying myself or if I want to be there. And so, obviously, when I get home, I'm always overthinking conversations. So, the summer of self, the selfish summer, has been a lot about rebalancing that nervous system, having that nervous system regulation to make sure I'm checking in with myself. Am I having a good time? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Do I like the food, the music, the vibe, the atmosphere? Do I actually like the people that I'm hanging out with? Because you do need friends. You do need to surround yourself with people. We need connection. Absolutely, we need connection. But not if certain people start to trigger that nervous system deregulation. Sometimes your body can tell you whether you're in a situation that you're supposed to be in. One good thing about bringing the attention back to yourself is that you start to see that not everything that other people do is about you at all. One of the biggest things I learned in 2025 is most of the time, what other people do has very little to do with you at all. It's not that they're trying to hurt you. Sometimes they just don't think about it that much and maybe they're a little bit selfish themselves. Or sometimes you're just overly sensitive, which I know is the case for me when I start to overthink conversations. But now that I have that distance and I can see that not everything people do has anything to do with me, and mostly it has to do with what's going on in their own lives, what's going on in their own head. We can't be in somebody else's head. We can only be in our own head. So when we start thinking about that person doesn't like me because they did this or that, we have absolutely no idea if they're actually thinking that. It could be any number of reasons why they've said or acted a certain way. And unless they actually tell you what's going on, you're not going to know fully what is going on in their head. But that doesn't mean that you have to put up with bad behavior, of course, but it does mean that you don't have to take everything as personally as you do. So, learning to not take things personally, learning that what other people do oftentimes has very little to do with you, is one of the biggest upgrades that I'm bringing into 2026. So, those are some of the small intentional choices that I'm bringing into the new year, into 2026. I really feel like this is going to be an amazing year. Over summer, I'm not going to be going out quite as much. I'm not going to be socializing as much, mostly because I'm focusing on work, on money, on getting healthier and hotter. I want to upgrade my home this year, but I'm going to do it slowly and intentionally. I want to make sure that the things that I have in my home are those that intentionally work for not only a practical reason, but is also aesthetically beautiful to the type of life I want to live. Because when it comes down to it, making those small intentional choices, bringing in those habits that work for you rather than you just copying what other people are doing. Because if you keep copying what somebody else is doing without thinking about whether it actually works for you, you're just going to keep burning through different morning routines, trying to find the one without actually thinking about what you need to put in that routine. And all of these changes help you to become more emotionally regulated, which helps you to become more emotionally mature and make better decisions. This is a slow process though. I don't plan on rushing any of these decisions in 2026. You can upgrade your life by making one small decision at a time. Otherwise, if you try and change too many things at once, you can get burned out, you can get overwhelmed, and that is not going to make long-term changes. It's what you choose to do consistently. Consistency really is the key to everything though, but making those consistent choices over time, that is how they become your standard, and that is how you get to upgrade your life. It might be slowly, but it will stick over the long term. This is like living a simple, chic lifestyle. You're simplifying things to bring into your life, choosing what to have in your life and what not to have in your life. And that is how you get to upgrade. That is how you get to live more classy, elegant, whatever lifestyle it is that you want. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, and it doesn't have to take a lot of time and effort. You can do this as slowly as you like. It really comes down to choosing the things that help you stay calm and centered, but also gives you some sort of excitement for the life that you want to create for yourself. And maybe sometimes that means getting out of your comfort zone and starting ballet. Or sometimes it just means going back to an old coffee machine that used to bring you joy in the past, and you're bringing that back because you make that intentional choice. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and remember, stay messy classy, darlings.